The Gospel of St. John 20.
Baka.
New King James Bible.
Oh yeah, the Gospel of John chapter 20. Always remember that Sunday is the first of the week, so that is the day Jesus rose from the dead, and that is why we go to church on Sunday. The Sabbath is Saturday, and it's always been Saturday. Don't let people fool you and say it's Sunday and try to get you to think that's why you go to church. No, you go to church so you can worship God. And you'll notice in here a lot that it seems like they don't recognize Jesus. Mary Magdalene didn't recognize him, thought he was a gardener. The disciples didn't recognize him. And, he had to show the hole in their hands. And there was always, there's another gospel where, he's walking down the street and two of the disciples didn't recognize him. So you have to wonder, maybe he got a different body or he looks different after he died. Got a new body like Adam and Eve had that new body. The empty tomb. Now, the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb early, and while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. And then she ran and she came to Simon Peter, and to the other disciples whom Jesus loved, and said to them, "And they have taken away the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." And Peter therefore went out, and the other disciples were going to the tomb, so they both ran together, and the other disciples outran Peter, and they came to the tomb first. And he was stooping down, looking, and he saw the linen cloth lying there, and yet he did not go in. And then Simon Peter came following him and went into the tomb, and he saw the linen cloth lying there, and the handkerchiefs that had been around his head, not lying with the linen cloth, but folded together in its place by itself. And then the other disciples who came to the tomb first went in also, and he saw and believed, and for as yet and they did not know that the scriptures that he must rise again from the dead. And then the disciples went away again to their own homes. Mary Magdalene sees the risen Lord, but Mary stood outside by the tomb weeping and wept. And she stooped down and she looked into the tomb, and she saw the two angels in white sitting, and one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had laid. And then they said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "Because they have taken away my Lord. I do not know where they had laid them." And now when she said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, and did not know that was Jesus. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" And she, supposing him to be a gardener, said to him, "Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him, "Rabbi," which means teacher. And Jesus said to her, "Do not cling to me, for I have not ascended to heaven to my Father, but I go to my brethren to say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God." And Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the Lord, and that he had spoken these things to her. Yes. And the apostles commissioned. And then the same day at the evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut, when the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood in the midst and said to them, "Peace be with you." And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. And then the disciples were glad when they saw the Lord. And so Jesus said to them again, "Peace to you. As the Father has sent me, I also sent you." And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit. And if you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. And if you retain the sins of any, they are retained." 2024, seeing and believing. So Thomas is going to get a message here, like we all do. And now Thomas, called the twin of the 12, and was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said to him, "We have seen the Lord." And so he had said to them, "Unless I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and put my hand into the side, and I will not believe." And after 8 days his disciples were again inside, and Thomas with them. And Jesus came to the door, being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, "Peace to you." And then he said to Thomas, "Reach your finger here, and look at my hands, and reach your hands here, and put it into my side, and do not be unbelieving, but believing." And Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord, my God." Jesus said to him, "Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed, right? Like me. That you may believe. And truly Jesus did many other great signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book, but these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. Wow. And then again, with Thomas, unless he was just so shocked or he had his eyes closed, Jesus come walking in there, you would know that's Jesus. But I don't know. I wasn't there, so who knows what was going on in their minds. And technically, that was they're like the first Christians, so that was like the beginning of the church, huh? God bless you all for eternity.